This is Pat Cuadros, and joining me tonight are the band members of Hollis Brown. They're here for a concert at the Southern in Charlottesville and to promote their new album, Three Shots. So here I have Mike, Jonathan, Dylan, Andrew, and Adam. Thanks, you guys, for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Great. So, first question, you guys are from a lot of different areas: New York, Ohio, Missouri. So, and then you reached your current lineup in 2014, thereabouts.
Yeah.
So, kind of talk about the regional influences you've brought in and how you kind of got your styles together.
Sure. Well, me and John, we grew up in Queens, New York City. So, a lot of that sound, the New York sound, definitely rubs off on us. Bands like the Velvet Underground and the Ramones and stuff. We just love, Simon and Garfunkel. There's really an eclectic mix of musicians from Queens. So, you can hear the songwriting, I think, in all those bands.
Right, and you also have Bob Dylan in there. You take your
Sure.
name from that, too.
Yeah.
Great. So, your bio, it's quoted as saying that your new album, you want to take people through a lot of different perspectives. Was that particularly challenging this go around with the new album? Did you have to stretch yourself a bit? Kind of talk us through the creative process.
Well, we have a bunch of different styles on the album, and everything from folk to pop to rock and blues. And I think that just today's world, it's so easy to, listen to so many different types of music. And I think people want to hear that, different styles in the band. So just kind of wanted to take everybody through a journey of different rock styles, And I think we kind of accomplished that pretty well.
Also, the tour experience, you guys have tour dates around the U.S. You're also going to the U.K., Netherlands, Belgium. So what's your favorite aspect of touring, and what keeps it interesting or surprising for you? Anybody, feel free to jump in this time.
Just meeting people from other countries, and how they live differently and how they live the same, and that's the coolest part. We're kind of like tourists, but not really. They kind of bring us more into like the local hang, which is awesome. It's the reason we travel around.
But first and foremost, you've characterized yourself as an American band.
Sure.
And the songs first. So is that kind of any kind of barrier trying to reach the international audience, or everyone just seems to love it?
I think it's given us a good in because, we're like exotic over there, we're identifiable with a certain thing. And for us, we're influenced by a lot of like the British bands and all that stuff, but we're mostly into like American songwriters and early rock and roll and stuff. So I think that carries over into like the European audience where they can really dig in on that.
They seem to really be interested in that style of music. Early American rock and roll, and it's still folk rock. So yeah, it would fit the bill.
Cool. So today you're opening for Lindy Ortega here at the Southern. You've toured a lot, mostly with Counting Crows for this run. What kind of opportunity has it been to tour with groups like that, and what have they taught you, or things that you've picked up and put into your own style?
Well, this tour has been a big jump for us. We've been learning quite a bit, playing these big amphitheaters and seeing all the production and how everything that goes into a huge tour like that, where there's 5,000 to 10,000 people a night, and
17 person crew with the Counting Crows. It's like a full scale operation. So
we're learning a lot, and we're trying to step ourselves up and play as good as we can.
I think one thing that has probably been the biggest influence on this tour is learning from the Crows, like showmanship for these big venues.
Big stages.
When you're playing small clubs, you kind of just smaller stage, you kind of stay in your little space. But now we have these big stages and people in the far seats. You have to play to them too. So you have to be a little more of a showman up there.
Yeah, especially when we play, because we're the first band on, so the lawn and all that tends to get filled up. So a lot of the audience is out there, so you really got to work extra hard to get the connection out.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the tone of the album. It says in your bio that you've been evolving, but I think you've also retained a lot of the raw honesty and immediacy of your earlier work. And I listened to your album, and the kind of whimsy and surprising kind of tone pops through with Sweet Tooth and John Wayne, particularly. It's kind of Old West meets rock, and it just starts off soft and then just explodes into this energy. So kind of talk about the tone a little bit, what you were trying to reach,
With John Wayne, you mean?
or just in general, like stretching yourself. And
I think that was the goal. We wanted a bigger, more polished product, but the trade-off is you can lose some of that, your edge and the honesty. I think we rode the line nicely. I mean, I'm happy with that. That was the biggest difference between Ride on the Chain and Three Shots is production, and I'm glad you think that we kept our edge and our honesty. We were a little worried what some of our like more diehard, especially in Europe, fans like, this isn't very bluesy, but I think we've found a nice median.
Okay.
We also didn't. I think what helped us keep our honesty without even really going out of our way is we didn't have too much time to tinker with it. We recorded it in like 2 weeks, so like we didn't have time to sit there and like, let's change this around. It was, this is what sounds good. We're gonna go with it and see what people think about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So were you going to add to that?
Yeah,
Sorry.
we also wrote the songs kind of the same way as the first record, so the production is a little different, and I think these songs have a little more depth lyrically and thematically, but for the most part, we recorded it pretty similar in just the feel of it. We didn't want to go crazy and like John said, just keep messing it up. We kind of just got the take and then we moved on. So.
All right.
Gongs and rain sticks.
So one more question. What do you want to say to your fans who've been following you, and then newcomers who are discovering you for the first time?
Just be honest about what we're doing. If you like it, tell us. If you don't, let us know.
Thank you for the support, and reach out on the internet. And we do all like the social media stuff, so it's always us who are engaging. So.
Right. I've seen your YouTube channel, SoundCloud, MySpace.
Yeah, everything.
So way to reach out on social media.
Yeah.
All right. So yes.
Even past social media, we're everywhere all the time. So come to a show. It's not hard to find us. We'll be around eventually, where you are.
So come out.
Well, I was going to get to that, actually. This is Pat Cuadros with Mike, Jonathan, Dylan, Andrew, and Adam. They're the members of Hollis Brown, and they're here in Charlottesville at the Southern for a concert tonight. Be sure to check out hollisbrown.com for tour dates and more information, and find out all about these great guys. New album is 3 Shots, and I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more from these guys in the years to come. So thank you, guys.
All right.